This could be one of the most important messages you hear, certainly in years. I am going to invite you into some of my experience. Today, we are going to talk about the fusion of sexuality, self hatred and shame, inspiration, and what it takes to transform into your best life. My name is Daniel. I've lived an extraordinary life. Some of you may know me from my other channel, Wildflower Fire. In this space, I can't explain it. If you haven't found it yet, hop over for a visit. Look in the description. This channel, however, Daniel Fusion, is all about more practical, more present guidance. Now, it's not going to be entirely practical, but we go deep in what it takes to find the best life you can possibly live. I did this. I left a very high-paying job. I explored everything I wanted to explore. I received more opportunities than I asked for again and again, and I went with them. I remember learning to connect with my spiritual guidance in a way that inspired me to be this kind of person. And I gradually learned to trust it and hear it more frequently. At a certain point, I found myself in a big room, big dance space, over 100 people dancing, and I felt this voice say, "Who do you most want to dance with? Who is the most beautiful woman here to you?" And I knew who she was. I chose her, like I'd chosen her already with my spirit, like I knew her. And not too long after that, she called me and asked me out. This came out of some extraordinary lessons that I'd like to share some of with you today. In fact, today, I want to share something I've avoided sharing for a long time. Now, a warning, this is a bit of a trick, but I'll tell you right off the bat, I'm going to encourage you to never masturbate. Never. I'm going to tell you why this is a good idea, then I'm going to explain why it's a twist. Now, I haven't seen people do this. I understand why. I don't entirely enjoy exposing this part of my experience to you. And yet, this is where medicine is needed. This is where a lot of people feel most lonely. This is where a lot of young men feel most lonely. Medium-aged men, men of any age. And I believe I could speak to this in a way that can really help you change your life. First of all, I'm encouraging you to never masturbate because you're not trying to bait for a master, are you? Now, this is intentional. Mistress bait. Now, I want you to think of it this way. When you imagine, when you visualize, you're creating. These are the same essential spiritual tools that you use to generate reality. If you are imagining something that you don't really want, if you are imagining something that's not actively healthy or possible, you're going to have trouble. The simple level of this is if you spend all your time fantasizing about women who are genuinely both out of reach and not right for you. You're 45 and you're masturbating to a 20-year-old? Like, cut it out. Is this what you're trying to manifest? Be real. Think it through. When you masturbate, you need to think in terms of who you try to attract. Now, I want to be clear. There are two wings to this. If you're going through profound levels of healing, if you don't know who you are, you're not in a relationship, you're going through profound levels of healing, look, you might be in a phase where you're going to engage sexuality as a way to kind of overcome shame. I just talked about this in a recent video, which I encourage you to watch. Now, in that video, this is a disclaimer, I practically encourage you to go visit porn sites. Now, I think there's all sorts of things that are unhealthy about doing this. However, when you're healing and you're ashamed of yourself on a deep level, it can be more valuable to come to peace with that and engage your fantasizing in an intentional way. Now, over time, however, you're going to get a little bit more at peace with yourself. And once you overcome this shame boundary, which you can do, you need to get in touch with what are you actually trying to create in your life. Now, I maintain I've explored a lot. I've been with some of the most beautiful women I met, period. And when I say this, I truly mean it. I went into some of the most incredible social scenes in some of America's most intense cities, and I met the women that I was most excited to meet, and I dated many of them. And I learned so much about what I am, what life is, what you need to do to bring yourself into the world in a way that's full and powerful. And this is what ends up being attractive. Confidence comes from a sense of being both at peace with yourself and almost immune to what other people think about you. You're going to be you out in the world. And you can't do that if you're hiding. You can't do that if you're ashamed. So as you learn to engage yourself honestly, you become much more attractive. And as you become more attractive, it's important to realize there is no goodness that I've ever found coming out of unequal relationships. This is not manly. This is not winning. Unequal relationships are, at their base, boring. If you don't want an equal, be aware that first of all, you don't belong here. Like, move along. But furthermore, you're never going to be your best. You're never going to be your best. Getting someone who's much less empowered than you, getting someone who perhaps, fits a model archetype, but is not present, not mature, not your age, not able to challenge you, not able to draw the best out of you, because the power imbalance is such that you're basically buying her, trading with her. You're in an exchange relationship. It's transactional. You're giving her your whatever, wealth, power, prestige at its best. She's giving you her youth and beauty. But honestly, if you're not aiming for someone who's beautiful, vibrant, intense, intelligent, challenging, you're never going to be your best. Never. And make no mistake, winning certain games, making a lot of money, getting attention from other people is meaningless. If you get attention for the wrong things, all you've got is a lot of baggage to deal with. If you want to be your actual best, you want a partner who can challenge you to be your best. And if you want that, imagine that. Fantasize about that. Don't fantasize about someone you're never going to get. And don't fantasize about someone who's not happy. And don't fantasize about someone who's not a decent person to be around. If you're fantasizing about someone who attracts you because they know how to hold your pain and leave, be clear about what you're doing. You're going to manifest that. Now, likely you won't actively get it, as in you won't actively end up with that person to have sex with unless you build your character and your potential and your power more. But you'll get closer to that, and you won't get closer to a true partner who can actually love you. Make no mistake, you can have both. Now, you can't necessarily have the age, but please understand, an older woman who's experienced, who loves herself, who's powerful, who's in shape, far better in bed than a young woman who's classically attractive and doesn't really know life. I know. I've tried plenty of times. The women with experience and passion and intelligence and wisdom, nothing compares. Nothing compares. And if you can't see that, you can't feel that, be clear with yourself that you're still referencing reality from a space of insecurity. And that's not winning. If you get status and money and, attention, and that gets you a girl, literally a girl, she might be able to absorb you as you are and mirror that. It's not very deep. The orgasms are not as intense. And if you don't want to learn that, hey, that's up to you. That's up to you. So here's my invitation. Move yourself towards imagining what you really want. And don't hold back. If you have yourself in a limited belief system that suggests you can't get it all, then confront that and undermine it and change it. Pray for a woman. Pray for a woman who really wants you. And once you have a woman, pray for her. Pray for her. Fantasize about her under extraordinary conditions. Bait her until you find the way that she's attracted to you. And make no mistakes, it works this way. You're fantasizing into a space where you share passion. Shared passion is way more powerful than a woman who simply becomes what you want her to be. The woman who is best, the women who are best at embodying what a man wants, like some kind of geisha who can become your fantasy, it's not nearly as powerful as a woman who brings her full passion to the table with you, and you find that harmony, you find that unity. Transcend it. Transcend it. I have children. Mating sex is beyond compare. When you know you're with the woman who you want to be with for decades and you want to have children, nothing touches it. And I have had some of the most passionate sex under the most extreme circumstances in wild scenes all over this country, the United States. I know what the best is. I know what the best is. And finding a partner who can match you in your passion is incomparable. You just don't hear about it because we don't need to talk about it. We're getting what we need. But I want to help. I want to throw you a line. I want to support my younger self. Young men who are like me, who want a way out, I want to help you out. So I urge you to consider that your ability to fantasize is a sacred power. And if you misuse it in a way that you have to throw it away, you don't have it to pray for the other things in life that you want. Aim for both. Aim for the best. Aim for all of it. Pray for someone who could really love you and have the deepest passion for you. And bait her. Bait her. Imagine passionate sex with her in a way that will draw her closer to you. It works. It works.